is Yapahyah, and I've been a makeup artist for about 7 years now. I'm here to teach you any and everything makeup. Whether you're a makeup artist or just someone who wants to learn how to do makeup on themselves, this is your safe space. So welcome to episode 1 of my makeup fundamentals series. The first thing we're tackling is brows. Brows is one of those things that if they look off, child, just take it off yourself, okay? Everything is gonna look crazy. This is also my favorite part of doing someone's face. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know what else you guys want to see. And without further ado, let's get started.
So the very first and very important step when doing brows is to start off with a clean canvas. So I'm taking some rubbing alcohol and I'm just cleaning the brow area so that I'm giving my brow products something to stick to so that they're pigmented and they last all day. So the very next thing you're going to do is you're going to take some hair gel. Yes, I said hair gel instead of brow gel, specifically the Got to Be Glue hair gel in the yellow tube. Highly recommend this because it's waterproof. You get more for your money because a whole tube is only like $8 to $10, and it's just super high quality. The hold is very strong. So as you can see, I'm using a skinny mascara wand and I'm just really working that into the brows in order to shape the brows how I want them to and to get the hairs to stay in place. So the beautiful thing about using hair gel is that you can make whatever shape you want and it really just produces a nice clean brow look. So I'm going for the laminated brow, and so I just put a little bit more gel on the spoolie and I'm using that to kind of reactivate it, because when it gets dry it can be a little hard to move, so just keep that in mind. And I'm just shaping the brows how I want, but please feel free to shape the brows however you see fit. Laminated, fluffy, natural, whatever you want. The brow gel works perfectly for that. So right here you just see me adding a little bit of lash glue on top of the brow gel. I do this when I know that I need the makeup to last really long. So my sister, she's a dancer, so I made sure to do this because when she sweats, I don't want her brows to go anywhere. The brow gel by itself is pretty waterproof, but I just love the extra reassurance. So I always recommend that if you need the makeup to last very long. Super duper important. This is a step you do not want to skip. Make sure to take some rubbing alcohol. I typically love to use 99% rubbing alcohol and wipe the skin around the brow area because we just put glue, eyelash glue, and gel there. And so it's gonna dry down, and when you add your concealer, your powders, your foundation later on in your routine, it will look patchy. So you wanna make sure that you get rid of that so that you don't have to worry about fixing that and the hassle of that later on. Super important, do not skip that step. So now I'm taking some setting powder. You could take whatever setting powder you have, honestly, and I'm just going over the brow area. I find that brow products apply the best when the skin is dry. Now, when I say dry, I don't literally mean like your skin is like begging for moisture, but there's absolutely no oils, no moisturizer, no nothing. So I love to do that because your brow products will just apply so much better. They will also appear so much more pigmented. So before we actually getting into drawing on the brows, I wanted to show you guys a visual representation of how to actually find like the perfect brow shape to fit your face, your client's face, whoever's makeup you're doing at the moment. And so the brow should start on the bridge of your nose and kind of like the tip of your nose. So that's where the brow should always start. Then they should always arch through the eye. So I'm gonna draw a line right now and it's just right at the tip. So it's kind of starting at that other line, but it's going through the eye at a diagonal. So that's where the arch should be. And then the brow should end at like the corner of your eye on that same angle right there. And so that's how you kind of know where to put what, where the brow should start, where they should arch, and where they should end. Now, in terms of the thickness of the brow, I believe that the brow should never be thicker than the natural thickness it already has, unless that's what you want, unless that's the look you're going for. But if you're just trying to enhance what you already have, I always say don't go above the hairs of your brows and don't go below it, just so that you're sticking to what you naturally have and it's just being enhanced instead of you creating a new shape. Unless that's what you're going for, but there's also nothing wrong with that. But if you just want to enhance what's already there, I highly recommend sticking to this outline right here, whether it's you or your client, whoever makeup you're doing, and I find that your brows will come out chef kiss every time. So now let's actually get into drawing on the brows. So just following that same clip I just previously showed you, I'm continuing the shape and the thickness of my sister's brows. I love to start off in the middle of the brow and then work towards the end and then tackle the front last. There's really no specific order. If you want to do the front first, that's fine. Find what you're comfortable with just through practice, but this is just like how I like to do it. I line the bottom, I line the top, and then I kind of fill it in like a coloring book. I also sometimes like to take my thumb and just pull on the skin a little bit, just pull it up so that the pencil glides on easier. And then I just fill it in with some pretty light strokes. I definitely recommend to be light-handed because after you conceal the brows, they naturally just look darker. So also beware of the color that you're using. I typically recommend getting a brow pencil that's the same color as the hair on your head, because I find that your brows and your hair on your head are always typically the same color. Now, if I find that any part of the brow is a little too dark or too thick for my liking, I just take a spoolie and I just kind of like scratch it off a little bit, kind of work the product in or out, I should say, like take some of it off and just fill it back into how I desire. And so once you have the shape you desire, which does not have to be perfect because you're gonna conceal it, then you go into the concealer part. So I would argue that one of the two most important factors when concealing your brows is the concealer shade you're using and the brow brush that you're using. And so I always recommend on the bottom using a shade that's probably 2 to 3 shades lighter than your skin tone. You could go lighter, but that's a little more like pro level. So if you're beginning, I definitely recommend only 2 to 3 shades because the lighter it is, the harder it will be to blend. Now for the brush, I definitely recommend using a brush, a concealer brush, a brow brush that has a circular shape to it because it literally does all the work for you. As you can see, I'm just gliding my hand right on along and it's doing all the work. Make sure to please keep in mind the brow shape. Remember, we're trying to keep that natural shape that our clients have or that you have, unless your goal is to make it thicker or thinner. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, but right here, I actually made a mistake and I went too high on the arch. I wanted to keep this in because I wanted to show you that it's okay to make mistakes. As you can see, I just took my finger and wiped it right away. I think a big thing that keeps people back from doing makeup or getting better is fear. You're afraid to make a mistake. You're afraid of, dang, what if this doesn't go right? But as you can see, I just took my finger and wiped it right away. Like, it's not even that serious. Like, do not be afraid of the makeup or else it will show. Because all you have to do, wipe it away. I added some brow product back with the brow pencil and I'm just reconcealing it to how I want it to be. So that's a big tip I recommend, is actually do not be afraid of the product or else it will show. And it's not that serious. Like, makeup is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a little jokey. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid of your products and just continue concealing as you were before. Okay, so now that we got the bottom down, we're gonna do the top. So the top is not too much different from the bottom. It's just that you're using a darker shade of concealer, specifically closer to your skin tone or your client's skin tone, whoever makeup is getting done. And you're just using that same concealer brush and gliding your hand right on along. The next step is very, very important because you want your eyebrows to be sisters. You want them to be twins. Eyebrows are not cousins over here. They're twins. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna drag the concealer right across from one brow to the other, kind of like creating a bridge. And this will help as a map to make sure that your brows are even. Later on, we're gonna get rid of it so you just don't have this weird line in the middle. But I like to just kind of like drag my hand from one brow to the other to make sure that the brows are even and that they look the same. It's so much easier to tell if the brows are even when you have that line. Okay, so at this point, the brows are basically done. All you're doing is fixing any little imperfections and blending the brows out. So as you can see, I made one of the brows shorter and now I'm just blending out the bottom brow area. So I'm making sure to blend downward on the bottom part because I don't want any concealer to get in the brow. So I'm blending away from the brow on the bottom. And then when it's time to blend out on the top, I make sure to blend either sideways or up. The goal is just to avoid getting concealer in the eyebrow. I also did want to mention that I didn't bring the concealer all the way in on the bottom part of the brows. As you can see, I left a little gap in the front, and this is just to avoid that harsh, boxy looking brow. I think brows look best when they go in like a gradient effect, so when they kind of start off like a little light and feathery to a little bit darker. If you already bought the concealer in that deep, don't worry, all you have to do is blend it right away, but just be mindful of that, just so your brows don't look so harsh. And so the last and final step step is to create that gradient effect in the front of the brow. So I'm just taking some more concealer, putting that right in the center and blending away that line we made earlier, just so that the brows have that nice gradient natural effect. And you are all done. This is a wrap of our episode 1 of Makeup Fundamental Brows. This is how the brows came out. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.